So, ladies and gentlemen, the secret is revealed.
He's been treading water with me for an hour.
I put up him for a whole hour going, yeah.
Well, so we now know who it is, don't we? I have the red book. Mike, I've worked with you for a very long time with dear friends. Are you surprised by this?
Of course I knew about it all the time. We spoke on the phone about it.
We did, yeah.
I knew about this was going on.
Yeah, I told Mike all about it. Can we have the first slide, please? Because tonight, it is my huge pleasure to say, slide, not the park cameras slide.
I'll go around.
Oh, is it me?
Come on.
No, it's not there. Tonight, Tim Appleton. Please. Thank you, Mike.
I've got some decent clothes on.
We have been planning this for the last 3 months. You might want to give him the mic. Dave, my lovely assistant Daisy, and it's not often I'm allowed to say that, has the mic. Tim, we have been planning this for 3 months. You'll imagine that this might have been something to do with Penny.
Where is she? Where are you?
Penny came up with it, she asked Mark and I to do it, and we had a brilliant idea. We said, Yolo Williams is doing a show after this, he has to be here, let's ask Yolo. And then bless him, the things Yolo does to get out of doing this. So Yolo was ill, he's better now, which is wonderful. Then we asked Mike, well Tim then texted me to say, oh no, Yolo can't do it. So
Simon King.
no, he said let's call the whole thing off. And Penny sent me this terribly panicky email, and I said, oh, Randy, Tim, Mike will be great, because I know Mike, and I've got some really funny clips about him, and I know loads of people, and he's real love. And he fell for it. So, you genuinely didn't know, did you?
I genuinely didn't know.
Okay,
Sure,
good.
I wouldn't have come through those gates if I'd known.
Sorry. Well, we're showing all sorts of things. We're now going to show a lovely 2-minute film of Tim while he gets his, you sit down, while he gets his breath back, and this is a film showing just some of Tim's wonderful things in his life, but we have many more embarrassing clips and films and guests. So here we go. Can we play that? Thank you.
Bisco sour, hi Madagascar, cheers. Now this would not be possible.
They're all drinking.
Create this massive mural, which is about 24 feet. Anyway, good.
Espera, dame una vuelta.
Today, announcing that away. lovely.
Well, Tim.
That is really that is
Because a new international bird watching festival.
So we've got 3 countries there, really. And then Brittany.
I will be down in
oh, that's so good.
Sunday evening, Little Bird Weekend for another year comes to an end. And what an amazing weekend it's been. We're heading well over 7,000 species now. Well, it's Sunday the 8th and the day on.
the new optics Falkenhayn.
So enjoy, keep a check out on our website.
Lovely. Despite what the book The History of Rutland Water says, Tim was not born in Westbury-on-Trim. He was born in Kent, but he moved to Westbury-on-Trim when he was very young in 1863. We're not saying his age, obviously. And he went to Wells Cathedral School, which is why he's got such a lovely posh accent. Oh gosh, who's that? Is that one of your grandchildren? Oh no, it's you. And that's with the jackdaw at a very early age. And apparently he was on Animal Magic with Johnny Morris. With that jackdaw?
It was indeed. I reared 3 little badgers. The age, I think I was about.
I think he needs the mic.
6. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Bring over
We
mic.
didn't think of this. We didn't think he'd need the mic as well.
That working?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that was incredible. I was in the school holidays. I guess this is where it all started in many ways. I actually sort of worked at a place called Westbury Wildlife Park. I've had about 3 beers since then, but hopefully I'll keep going. But anyway, so we rescued these little badgers, and we had them at home in my parents' house. And they were sweet little things. They used to run around, and the Animal Magic got hold of it. And Johnny Morris came up to the house and filmed them. It's just lovely. I mean, that was my first and possibly about the only TV that I've done. But no, I'm not like Stephen and all the rest of you guys. Mike, I'm going to get you later.
Well, then you moved on to be a volunteer at the Westbury Wildlife Park in Bristol, and then went into Woburn Abbey in the late 60s, deer management.
Sorry, deer murdering.
Deer murdering,
No, sorry,
yeah, let's
deer
not go
murdering.
there.
Sorry.
Waiting for a role at the Wildlife Trust, and he ended up being a warden from 1970 at Peakirk, near Peterborough, the second WWT reserved after Slimbridge. He became a ringer, and 50 years later, he was still ringing birds, including a spoon-billed sandpiper on the shores of the Yellow Sea in China. Late 1970, he achieved a real ambition and moved to Slimbridge to be an assistant curator, working alongside and learning from Sir Peter Scott. We've invited many guests today, but to be fair, how can I put this tactfully, Tim? You're so old that a lot of them couldn't make it. And the rest are in the front row. But one of them, can I just say, you're not allowed to say anything. One of the guests who couldn't make it and was very sad not to make it, but he does live in America, is Mike Lubbock.
Oh.
And Mike Lubbock was Tim's boss. That must have been fun. And he sent me this to read out. In the early 1970s, when I came back to Slimbridge as curator, I hired Tim as my deputy. I could see he had great potential. No, I won't just stop there. And would be a perfect fit to help me get the rundown collection of waterfowl back to where it should be. He certainly didn't disappoint me, and in those few years we managed to have a number of first breedings, including the white-headed duck. After a few years, Tim moved on. I was sorry to lose him, but apparently, and I didn't know this, he went on to make quite a name for himself, turning Rutland Water into a wonderful reserve, and later on, obviously, the Bird Fair and Global Bird Fair. So Mike says at the end, congratulations on all your amazing achievements, Tim, and let's hope our paths cross one more time.
Yeah.
So, thank you to Mike for that. The WWT opened its third reserve at Welney, and Tim took the first pair of captive-bred Buick Swans there, and now there are lots of them. Moving on to Rutland Water. Oh, wasn't that doing anything? Oh, yes, it is. In 1975, Tim became the first warden and later reserve manager at Rutland Water. And this is unique. It was the only nature reserve, possibly in the world, but certainly in Britain, declared a nature reserve before anyone had actually built it. Tim didn't realise when he took on the job that he actually had to build it, which he did. So we have a few shots of this, constructing lagoons, etc., various views. It looks a bit better now, doesn't it? Oh, look, you know, that's Lord Cranbrook and Tim officially opening the new lapwing hide, and Tim did dress up for that one. He couldn't be bothered tonight, could he? And once filled, the new reservoir became a fantastic refuge for wildlife. We have some wonderful people who've come along today to say hello. Gentlemen, will you stand up? Those of you who helped make Rutland Water, big round of applause for these gentlemen. Not everyone could make it, but I'm going to say the names because it includes some of the people who couldn't. Dave Needham, who is here, Phil Langston, who's here, Chris Park, Lloyd Park, Dave Cole, Terry Mitchum and Martin Aspinall. And Dave, you were going to come up and just say a few words about Tim, if you don't mind. This way. Sorry. Yeah, go that way, yeah. Oh, he's directing now.
We've already done.
So this is Dave Needham, who was instrumental in working with Tim to make this fabulous reserve. Which, frankly, without the reserve, we wouldn't have bird fair, because obviously the reserve was the place that attracted people. David, over to you.
Well, I first met Tim in 1974.
Ooh, when he was 8.
Yes. And he asked me if I was a carpenter, which I was, and he said, "Do you know anything about building hides?" I didn't, but I said yes. We went on from there. Initially there was only a team of about 6 of us working on the reserve. Dave Cole, who's here now, Chris Park, 2 that unfortunately no longer with us, Ray Butchart and Gordon Blackett, and there was, I think, a couple of others, but we initially built, I think, 15 hides. At that time the reserve was very, very small. We only had the 3 lagoons, and he wrote in the heritage of Rutland Water, he must have regret the day he ever met me. Well, when I first met Tim, I was 6 foot tall and had a head of hair. So you can draw your own conclusions from that. But we have managed at the time to get on quite well together without too many fights. I do get a pain in the neck when I talk to him because I have to look up at him. But apart from that, we seem to have got on very well.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you so much, Dave. That's great. Tim was employed by the Leicestershire and Rutland Wildlife Trust, and their former chief executive, Simon Bentley, is very sorry he can't be here tonight, but he sent this video tribute.
Hello, Tim. Sorry I can't be with you in person today, but hope that this short video can pay tribute to the very special and significant contribution you've made to nature conservation over many years. I have lots of good memories of working with you at Leicestershire and Rutland Wildlife Trust, when as director of the Trust for nearly 19 years, I did my best to support you in your role as reserve manager at Rutland Water Nature Reserve. I joined the Trust at the beginning of March 2001 and can clearly remember in my first week coming across from the office in Leicester to meet with you at Rutland Water. It was the middle of the foot and mouth crisis, and I had to stop the car at the threshold of the nature reserve and disinfect my tyres and boots. Your office was temporarily located in a porter cabin while the Anglian Water Birdwatching Centre was being refurbished and enlarged. A challenging first visit. But only a few months later, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, came to officially reopen the centre. And after that, there were many significant achievements at Rutland Water during our time working together. Establishing a breeding colony of ospreys on the reserve and ensuring huge numbers of people could see them close up. Revamping and upgrading the Linden Hill Visitor Centre. Significantly enlarging the nature reserve through the creation of 5 large new shallow water lagoons and other extensive wetland habitats. Developing and expanding the British Birdwatching Fair. Welcoming Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall on a royal visit to look around the reserve and meet staff and volunteers. Constructing and launching the Volunteer Training Centre, and of course, the day-to-day work of managing and improving both wildlife habitats and visitor infrastructure. Good times indeed, Tim, and much to look back on and be proud of and grateful for. But with your amazing energy, ideas, and ability to get things done, I have no doubt you have plenty of projects on the go and in the pipeline. So go well, Tim. I know that you will continue to do all you can to protect our precious wildlife and engage people with nature.
So thanks very much to Simon Bentley. Now, Simon mentioned the ospreys. Ospreys have, had quite an influence on Tim's life, and to be fair, he's had quite an influence on theirs, because of course the first project to reintroduce ospreys into England was done here at Rutland Water. 3 people were involved in it. Tim, of course, one of them. You'll see the other 2 in a minute. Here's a little bit, again, there's a lot of interesting things where you think, what on earth are they doing? Don't you? But they're making a nesting platform, apparently. That's a very young Tim Mackerel, weighing an osprey. I don't know if they're ringing it. And then, of course, the wonderful triumvirate here, the osprey triumvirate. 3 really fine conservationists, Tim Mackerel, and the wonderful Roy Dennis. And as Simon mentioned, basically you couldn't go to Rutland Water without tripping over royalty. We had Prince Philip. Can we shoot them? He actually came in 2001 to open the Education Conservation Centre. That's very unfair. And he unveiled a sculpture of the osprey. And look, Tim said, oh, look, here's one you shot earlier. Did you not shave that day, Tim? Showing, as he mentioned, Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall, now King and Queen, of course, round the nature reserve. And this was showing the plans for the Volunteer Training Centre. Because, of course, yes, birds are very important, habitat's very important here, but people are equally important. And Tim, over the years, has helped train and helped get money for thousands of volunteers who've then gone, like Tim Mackerel did, into actually doing conservation work, which is brilliant. So here's a video from the first of those 2 wonderful conservationists, Roy Dennis.
Hi Tim, congratulations on another, I'm sure, brilliant weekend. It's great to look back over the years. It's more than 30 years ago when we talked about restoring the osprey to the Rutland Water. And what fun that was, going to Minnesota. That day when I was at that pole and the thunderstorm started, when I was building a nest for you. And that led on to the recolonisation of Rutland, but also of Wales. And now one of those Rutland birds is down in Poole Harbour, rearing 3 young ones. So what a wonderful time that was. And I knew you were my sort of person. Just get on with it and also have fun. And what fun we had, back at Fishpon's cottage, trying to eradicate signal crayfish by eating them. And then, do you remember those pigs you cooked on the barbecue? I always try to find the one that had been burnt most in the hope that it was properly cooked. But anyway, sorry I'm not there today, and all my good wishes.
And Tim 2, or Mini-Me, Tim Mackerel, another wonderful conservationist now working with Roy, in the Isle of Wight and in Dorset to reintroduce white-tailed eagles and ospreys. And Tim also, very sorry he couldn't be here tonight, but here's his tribute to Tim.
Hi everyone, it's Tim McCrill here. I'm really sorry I can't be with you in person tonight, but I always knew there was a chance of this happening because we're right in the middle of osprey and white-tailed eagle translocation. So I've actually pre-recorded this video ahead of time, and I thought if I was going to pre-record a video, then it had to be at this place, which is Side B. This is actually the first place that ospreys nested in Rutland in 2001, and there's been a pair breeding here pretty much every year since. And that's really relevant because it's because of Tim, really, that ospreys are back in central England, and in fact, not just central England, but also Wales and more recently on the south coast. Because Tim, along with Roy Dennis, made the really visionary decision, amidst quite a lot of controversy and opposition at the time, to move young ospreys from Scotland down to Rutland Water. And it's been a resounding success story. I mean, there's now this year, there's 10 breeding pairs, 9 pairs of fledged young, and since that first pair bred in 2001, there have now been over 250 young ospreys fledged from nests in this population. So it's been a real success, and that really is testament to Tim's vision all those years ago to get the project off the ground and to see it to fruition. Obviously, loads of people have been involved, myself, many volunteers, many other members of staff, but it was Tim who got it started, Tim who had the vision and determination to make it happen. And that really sums the man up. You know, he's done so much over his career, and for me personally, Tim's always been a real mentor and a really positive influence on my career. He's shown that, you know, with a positive, proactive approach to conservation, you can really start to make the change that we so desperately need at the moment. So Tim, I'm really sorry I'm not there to celebrate tonight in person, but I'm sure we'll catch up soon. And yeah, just want to say thanks for all you've done for my career and many others, and keep up the great work. I know you're showing no signs of stopping, so yeah, keep it up.
I think earlier Simon Bentley mentioned the Anglian Water Visitor Centre, and having the centre here, having this amazing reserve, led to the idea, a tiny idea, a slightly mad idea, but aren't they all the good ones, to create the bird fair. So in 1989, Tim and Martin Davis from the RSPB hatched the idea of the Great British Birdwatching Fair, helped hugely by Bruce Hanson, who again very sadly couldn't be here tonight, but the three of them worked together, and of course Bird Fair ran at Rutland Water for many, many years, raising £1.5 million, at least for conservation. I'm sure it's more than that now. 5 million. Okay, 5 million. And here are two young men at Bird Fair. Who are they? Who knows? That's the first wonderful poster of the first birdwatching fair. And here's a later one. The Stop the Massacre campaign was first, and then Stop Mediterranean Shooting, and people like John Cox and Robert Gilmore quickly became, you know, they made these wonderful posters which became really iconic artwork, and coffee mugs. And
good evening, gentlemen.
No, sorry, not that one yet. Go back one. So, Martin Davis is here tonight. Martin, would you like to come up? You can come up either side. You can come up that side if you want. Daisy, this is the orange version. And apparently, like most good ideas, it started in the pub. Martin.
Yes, it's hard to look back that sort of period of time, but at the time I was RSPB regional officer in Lincoln, based in the East Midlands, and Tim and I were friends. We did quite a lot of birding together and used to go around this wonderful reserve that he was creating. And we used to drink a fair bit of beer, actually. Yeah. And we were sitting one evening in the Finch's Arms on the Hamilton Peninsula and saying, well, okay, this is all very well, we're having a lot of fun, but, you know, rainforests are being destroyed and wetlands drained. And, well, you can sit in a pub and sort of cry in your beer, can't you? There's not a lot you can do about it. But we thought, well, maybe there is something we can do about it, because there's an awful lot of people out there who care about this. And if we can only bring them together, and we can bring all the different companies together who are involved in conservation, and get everyone working together on it, then maybe there is something we can do. And that was really the kind of germ of an idea. And then we started to formulate, we thought, right, okay, so we've got to persuade all these people to come. And that's where Bruce came in, because Bruce was involved in the optics industry. And the big names, of course, in anything to do with making money were to do with the guys who sell the binoculars and telescopes, because they're far and away the most expensive things we have to buy. So he persuaded the likes of Zeiss and Swarovski and all the other big names in that side to come along and stand in a wet field. Well, actually, we didn't tell him it was going to be a wet field, but in a field in Rutland.
So nothing's changed.
For 3 days. It's a different wet field, though, this one. But we had no idea whether anybody would come. And so it was a complete gamble. And then having got all those big names together, though, we then wrote to all the others and say, hey, all these people are coming and there's all these big names involved. Will you come as well? And to our amazement, lots and lots of other companies came in. But it was a real gamble. And we were opening on that first day, would anybody at all turn up? And we had 3,000 people that first year. We were really quite pleased with ourselves. And I think the most you'd ever had in a weekend before that was 400.
Exactly.
Yeah, see? But that was just the start of it. So we tried it out, and then the next year, of course, it got bigger, and it got bigger. And then 30 years later, we were still doing it, and it got enormous. And I have to say, if we'd known what had happened over that pint of beer, there is absolutely no way that we would have started it, because we would have been terrified, trying to do something like that. But the real secret to success, though, was bringing together all those people to do something good for conservation. I was working for RSPB, a national organisation. Tim was working for the Leicester and Rutland Wildlife Trust, a locally based organisation here. But we thought if we work together, that's going to be great, but actually could be a bit tense, really. What we're going to do is raise money for an international project that is neither of us. So we're not the beneficiaries of it, we're just helping make it happen. And that was the real secret of Bird Fair, and it was the real thing that made everyone get behind it. That was big international projects, and there are now national parks all over the world, in all sorts of different countries, that would not have existed had we not stood in this wet field in Rutland for 3 days, for many, many years over and over. So I think it's been a fabulous opportunity, and I thank Tim for giving me the opportunity for us, the two of us, together with Bruce, to work together to make that happen. But it's been an enormous team effort. From all the volunteers who help, all the fantastic celebrities like Stephen and all his colleagues in the media industry who back the whole thing, and they're all volunteers as well. That is why Bird Fair works. And I'll just leave you with a wonderful moment in one of the bird fairs, and I can't even remember which one it was now, but it was a while back, when we were actually counting all the people coming in through the gate and counting all the money that we were bringing. We suddenly realised that that person who was just walking along the driveway and came in, we would actually have raised over £1 million for the first time. And it is sort of nearer 10 million, I think, the total now. But we announced that over the tannoy, that £1 million had now been raised by Bird Fair, and the whole showground applauded. All the exhibitors, everybody, because they all owned that result. And that's really what Bird Fair is all about, a huge team effort.
Thank you, Martin. And you're getting the same pattern, aren't you, with Tim's life? It's have an idea and then just do it. Just do it. From a personal note, I came to Bird Fair for the first time in 1992. I'd missed the first 3. I came along with my friend Neil, who's here today, and our 5-year-old, my son, his daughter. They're now 36, so that's how long ago it is. And I didn't know, apart from Neil and another friend at home, I knew no other birders. I've been birding all my life, and Neil was the same. You bump into people. We came here and we saw like-minded people. We met artists. We met people from abroad, people like Marek Lokowski, who's here, a great friend of mine. And we met people we'd heard of, Ian Wallace, all these great names. And suddenly we felt part of a community. And I think Bird Fair's done so many brilliant things, and raising money, and Tim's done so many brilliant things. But if there's one thing Tim did, and I think along with Bill Oddie and the series he was making as well, what Tim and Martin and Bill did was to make birding popular, basically. Make it acceptable, make it a community thing where we all work together. And I think for those of you, the younger ones in the audience who take for granted, and quite rightly, and it's brilliant, you take for granted that you know other birders, it weren't like that. It was pretty, mostly men, mostly quite grumpy men, and then, and everything changed. And I think that is a really important thing. And I'm going to show you a clip that sums this up. The early days of Bird Fair were slightly mad, and every Friday night they would have an exhibitor's bird race. And it was 1 hour. A 1 hour bird race. And if you look carefully here, you will see a very young Tim and Martin and me and a few other people you might recognise. And it's a 3-minute film we did with Bill Oddie, and this is it.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for turning up for the bird race at the British Birdwatching Fair.
And how do they do that, I wonder? You guessed it, by birdwatching.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Come this way, come this way, come this way. Seriously, they're on a dead end. Listen down here for reed warblers and philosophes. So we've got to see or hear as many species as we can, and we've got 1 hour.
Come and turn. Hide there, my tail. There's a moorhen underneath that hide.
It could be disastrous for everyone, judgment. Yeah. Green sheep, green sand rough, green sand forest. Reeds we got snake. Then we got gadget, characteristic reed.
Runny duck. Got runny duck.
Bold attempt, probably failed. We need little birds.
Gargany, just stop in between the posts. In between the posts. Yep. Rough. Yeah. Probably several of them. Pochard you haven't had. Pochard just off the left-hand side of this bow.
Cameraman did well.
Any chaffinches there?
Any other birds been coming down here at all?
Wrong turning, wrong turning. Oh, flip my neck. We've got to get
for the next one.
We've got to get to the centre, right? Do some calls, eh?
Got it.
Got it?
Yeah. In the bag.
Emphasis on the was. Okay, this is cheating. I don't know whether this is cheating. There's nothing in the rules. No, it's not.
Use a card.
It's never been the same.
We reckon everyone else is right.
Spot on, 5 past.
So hang on, how many minutes?
I'd like to announce the results of the 1996 British Bird Fair bird race. In third place with 57 species, 2 species taken off for arriving 2 minutes late. Murphy's Wildlife. In second place with 57 species, but 1 species taken off for using motorised transport. Featuring Bill. And in first place,
who could it be?
With 67 species. The British Bird-Watching Fair team led by Tim Appleton. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thanks for taking part.
Now, the more observant of you and you are birders, will have noticed a certain lack of female birders there. Because that's the other thing that's changed, thank God, is that now you walk around Bird Fair, you look at the guests, you look at the people performing, people giving talks, the exhibitors, it's pretty much equal, 50-50 male-female. It wasn't. Birding was a very male thing. And again, Bird Fair helped that. Women came here and enjoyed it and felt welcome. And again, that's down to Tim making the effort, making sure that we actually, made that work. Bird Fair isn't all of, there's a lot of work goes into Bird Fair, and a huge amount is behind the scenes. We have all these wonderful volunteers here, the ones in the blue T-shirts, etc. Give them a round of applause, please. And of course, including those backstage, who I'm sure will come out later. But I wanted to pick one old friend of Tim's to come and just give a quick chat. Charles Gallimore, would you mind coming up on stage? Charles is has done, as many of you know, did the wonderful quizzes, the Bird Brain of Britain and the Wild Brain of Britain. We do silly quizzes at Bird Fair, but we do serious quizzes, and these were so serious that none of us knew the answers to any of the questions. Charles is just going to talk a little bit about Tim, including talking about some of the travels they've done together around the world. So thank you very much, Charles.
Fantastic, thank you, Charles.
I'm not going to talk about the Bird Fair and the Bird Brain of Britain. I'm going to talk about birding trips with Tim. The first birding trip I did with Tim was in 1979, and it was very nearly the last one I did. We went to a remote area of Spitsbergen to catch and ring barnacle geese, which were flightless at that time, and assisted by some Oakham School Duke of Edinburgh Award pupils. On one of the catches that we were doing, which was on a small lake close to the shore, after we'd finished it, Tim suggested that we took the nets and poles and everything back to our camp, which was 2 or 3 miles away, in the small inflatable dinghy which we used to shepherd the geese into the nets. And so we thought that was a good idea rather than carrying them all. And we loaded the dinghy with the nets, and Tim got in the dinghy and pushed off, having failed to notice that there was quite a strong offshore breeze. And he drifted out, and we saw him struggling with the outboard motor, unsuccessfully, I believe. The shear pin had sheared, I think, is what had happened. And we could imagine him drifting off to Bear Island, 150 miles away. So we shouted to him to row as if his life depended upon it, which of course it did. He started rowing in a most unorthodox fashion because there was so much clutter in the boat, and very slowly managed to approach the shore because he was 300 or 400 yards out towards Bear Island when he started rowing, but finally he made the shore and staggered out, looking fairly shattered, although he'd probably not admit that now. But his only concern when he got out of the boat was, where was the medicinal brandy which I was in charge of? So, yes, that's...
Thank you so much, Charles. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do for Bird Fair. Bird Fair's obviously raised ridiculous amounts of money, and more importantly, has found, by donating that money, you then get matching funds from governments and other organisations. So it's been brilliant. But then, of course, the horror happened of COVID. we had to cancel Bird Fair. And then, like the phoenix from the ashes, Global Bird Fair arose. And this was a partnership, obviously a partnership between Tim and the person who does all the work, Becky, and also between international birders and conservationists Jim Lawrence and Ian Davis. And Jim and Ian, would you mind coming on stage? And I think Ian's going to talk briefly first, and then Jim.
Although I haven't known Tim as long as some folks here, I've been very, very fortunate to, over the past few years, get to know you and see all the incredible things that you've done. And so here we're talking about Global Bird Fair specifically, but it's been amazing to see, as so many folks have spoken to, the incredible power that you have to bring people together. And I think that is evidenced so well by this room right here in this weekend. And everything that everyone has talked to and will continue to talk about, your power, your passion to bring people together for good and for conservation and for birds. And it's inspiring, it's genuine, and I feel inspired just to see and hear everything here. And so a few years ago when you reached out to eBird and the Cornell Lab, BirdLife International, and Swarovski to start this global birding thing, with you and Penny. It's amazing to see this come to where it is now, and that's thanks to you, and thanks to your vision, and it's just been an amazing thing to be a part of, and an incredible part of an incredible life. So thank you, Tim, for everything you do for the world.
Thanks, Ian. So I joined BirdLife International from a career in advertising in 2007, and within a week I met Tim and Martin because I joined BirdLife to help promote and market a new important program that was being developed called the BirdLife Preventing Extinctions Program. And Bird Fair had supported many projects before, but this was a slightly different one because this was on a much bigger scale, and it was all about saving the world's most threatened birds. And Martin and Tim were utterly passionate about this, but I think Tim demonstrated one of his great qualities when he took me aside at that first meeting, and he made it very clear that he was counting on me to make it a success on behalf of Bird Fair, on behalf of Tim and Martin, on behalf of everybody who is attending the Bird Fair, and as he put it, but what's most important of all, because we're going to do something amazing to save these critically endangered species from extinction. And that was the beginning. I joined in May. It was the May that we met, and in August it was Bird Fair, and I had to launch the whole thing with them. Well, it took on a huge scale, and the 2007, 2008, and 2009 Bird Fairs all contributed to enable us to launch this truly totally international global program for BirdLife, which is still going great guns today, and it raised £750,000 over that time, which was enough to get the whole thing underway. I think what I'd like to say is, Tim, it was inspiring at the time for me to have you influence us, and I think many people here will have experienced this same thing that Tim kind of magically does, and I like to call it the Appleton embrace. But it leaves you under no illusion that you are responsible at that point, and he brings that out in people, which is
passing the buck, it's called.
So after that, Tim and I became great friends. We travelled all over the world together. I think we first went to Buenos Aires and launched the program internationally. It's the whole BirdLife partnership of 120 partners, national partners from around the world. I think you and Martin were on stage revealing the murals from the Bird Fair. Well, in fact, you didn't reveal the murals. You invited Princess Takamado of Japan to reveal the murals. She was the Her Imperial Highness, I should say, Princess Takamado, and she very graciously did that. So that was a very important piece of theatre that Tim and Marta brought to our events, which we would not have understood in the same way that they did. Tim, there's 100 things that I could talk about. We could talk about Buenos Aires, we could talk about the Champions of the Flyway event in Israel that we did together. We could talk about Uttar Pradesh and a bird fair that was spawned from the bird fair here, the Uttar Pradesh Bird Festival, which was extraordinary. But I'd like just to remind you of another quality that you have, which is that you, in the face of adversity, whether it's thunder and lightning or people not turning up or whatever it might be, is this implacable calmness that Tim has. Because I once put that to the test. And it was on our way to Gatwick Airport for the 2017 Costa Rica Birding Challenge at the time, that I'd offered to give Tim a lift because I was 3/4 of an hour down the road. And at the due time, 8 o'clock in the morning, Tim came by my house. I think Penny dropped him off. And he spent the next hour banging on my door because I'd forgotten to set my alarm properly. And so I was asleep, using up the precious minutes that we got to get down to Gatwick. We then hit the most tremendously crazy traffic, and all the time I was fretting about were we going to get there in time or not. And it didn't really matter for me. I was just a participant in the event. But like in so many of Tim's international events that he attends, he's a dignitary, and he's there presenting to the world about bird fairs, about the importance of ecotourism. And he got a gig that night, on that first night, so he had to be there. So ultimately, we managed to find our way down through back routes and God knows what. We got down to Gatwick with moments to spare, and I chucked him out the door, and he ran through, and he was the last person through onto the plane. They held it up, and he got through, and he flew off to Costa Rica. I had to park the car, so I missed my flight. But 24 hours later, when I did arrive at the venue when we were all joined together, who did I see at the door but Tim, with a big smile, a pint of beer in his hand, which he handed to me and said, "Jim, what ketchup?"
Thanks very much, Jim. Now, there's an old saying that used to be said around here. Where's Tim? Where's Tim? And this is not during Bird Fair, obviously the rest of the year. And the phrase I heard was, "What's the difference between Tim Appleton and God?" God is everywhere. Tim Appleton is everywhere but Rutland. Because Tim went on lots of trips. This is his one to France, and you see, I'm going to whiz through these because we're overrunning a bit, but because there's a lot to say about the man. But you know, you get the picture, don't you? These ones where they went looking for a pink-headed duck in Myanmar. You did see it, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, it was extinct, but he, you know, phoenix from the ashes, Tim Appleton, you know, magic done. And he and Dale Forbes, who I think is here tonight, is Dale over there somewhere? Yeah, Dale, come up here. Dale from Swarovski, they spent a lot of time birding together. I don't remember being invited on any of these trips, Tim. And they had large quantities of beer, as you can see. And Dale's just going to talk a little bit again about Tim as his role as an international conservationist.
I'm going to assume that those photos came from Penny. Thank you, Penny. Yeah, so Tim and I've had the honour of travelling a fair amount with Tim, which has been wonderful. And I'm going to kind of take it back to some of the other points that Stephen had mentioned earlier, that Tim brings a community of people together. There are lots of people here. Over the last couple of days, there have been thousands of people here. And Tim is all over the place because he's helping people meet each other. And that is one of the things that I find so inspiring about Tim, and I really, really enjoy about him, that he's not just meeting people, you lot, but he's also introducing you. He's like, you should meet this person here, and bringing really interesting people together. And the lovely thing about that is that when you bring interesting people together, unexpected things happen. Bird fairs happen, and global birding happens. And this seems to be so much a part of his personality, and I just love that about you, Tim. So many unexpected things have come out of it, and lots of wonderful conservation has come out of it. But in terms of my professional role at Swarovski Optic, Tim has got this entire network of people that he interacts with within the birding world. And in 2008, we set up something which we called the Birding Council, which are a group of birders from around the world. And in the Birding Council, we've got people from around the world, birders, passionate from different walks of life. And this is one of the mediums that Tim has brought his vast experience into our world. And this has resulted in many of the products that you all are using. And so this is just another way that Tim has benefited all of birding through making great products. Thank you, Tim.
Now, all those meetings with all that time, it has been recognised. To be fair, Tim has presumably a trophy cabinet somewhere full of stuff, and I'm going to whiz through them. The Christopher Cadbury Medal. Oh, look, the investiture, Timothy Appleton. Mr. Timothy Appleton. We don't hear that very often. So, rightly, people have recognised Tim. Lovely moment at the palace there. Various awards presented by BirdLife. That's Tim's home. That's not Tim's home. That's the view from Tim's home. Well, I think he'd quite like that one. And that's a Daphne Scott picture. Daphne, again, sadly couldn't be here today. She sent her best wishes and congratulations, Tim. Daphne Scott's picture of a pink-headed duck. But we've talked a lot here about Tim's work. But Tim, amazing. I don't know how he found time to do this. But he's also the most extraordinary family man. And I'm really so delighted that so many of his children and grandchildren and in-laws, etc., have come tonight. Would you mind standing up? Thank you so much. And Millie, in a moment, Tim's granddaughter, is going to come up and say a few words. But before that, I wanted to remember a very special person in Tim's life, his brother Mike Appleton. I joined the BBC in 1982. Mike was already a legend there, and he did Live Aid, he did Old Grey Whistle Test. He sadly died back in 2020. And Nick Baker has very kindly agreed to remember my little tribute to Mike here with the theme of the Old Grey Whistle Test.
Here we go.
Can I just say that Nick came from Scotland the other day, brilliantly organised. Penny had briefed him brilliantly. Guess what he forgot? Penny's son went out yesterday and found not just a harmonica, the blooming harmonica that he wanted. So thank you to Penny. This is Tim with just a small proportion of his family. Millie, would you mind coming up and just do a little presentation to your granddad? Thank you so much.
very loud. I'm just going to say a quick few words on behalf of the family from the front row. Just lots of love. We love you so much. We're so proud of you. Amazing career that you've had. It's been really inspiring for us as well. I had the privilege as part of this whole experience of going down to London and meeting someone in conservation who I'm sure you may have heard of, Sir David Attenborough, which was very amazing. He unfortunately can't be here tonight, but wanted me to hand a little present over to you as a small token of, you know, recognition of the work that you've done as well. So that's what I've got. Thank you very much.
It's a book. I'll read out the dedication,
I'm
Tim.
reading it. For Tim, with best wishes, David Attenborough. Amazing. Thank you so much. Wow. Am I, I don't know what to say, really.
Well, you can't, because we also asked someone to say something for you, and Millie, again, is behind all this. A little message.
Tim, congratulations on this new enterprise of yours. I remember you founding the Bird Fair. What a success that has turned out to be. And I have no doubt that this new project will be just as big, if not both greater and internationally. Good luck.
Apart from Millie, we've had a lot of blokes speaking tonight, haven't we? So Dame Barbara Young, former Chief Executive of the RSPB, a brilliant conservationist and campaigner in her own right, has also, Baroness Young has also agreed to come and say a few words about Tim.
I was appointed as Chief Executive of the RSPB in 1990, and the Bird Fair had only just started, and it was hotly controversial at the RSPB. 50% of the people said, there are these two weird blokes running it, don't have anything to do with it.
That's true.
And the other 50% said, there are these weird blokes running it, but they're really good. So it was the first decision I had to make after arriving, and I'm glad I went for weird, because weird works. Weird works, and you've heard just how a great success the Bird Fair has been globally for conservation and for birders. Of course, Tim then attempted to wreck my life on several successive occasions. I took my team at the Environment Agency when we were having a lot of trouble with the government trying to get ruddy duck eradicated from England. Tim wasn't convinced that ruddy duck should go, and I knew that I'd been stitched up when I took my team out for a bike ride around Rutland, and we went into one of our hides, and there was this dinky little male ruddy duck bouncing up and down, creating foam, and my team all went, we can't. And I knew it was a plan. You've been a great success, Tim, and Martin is a great partner at the Bird Fair with you. So whatever you do in the future, don't even ask me if I'm going to support it. I support it.
Thank you so much. Is John Cox around? John, do you have the presentation?
I certainly do.
We have a little thing, another little thing, because he needs a lot of presents, doesn't he? John Cox, who did that, you did that very first poster.
I did indeed.
Which is extraordinary. He looks too young, doesn't he, to have done that first poster. And John has done a little picture, little memorabilia for tonight. Just before you present it, I just wanted to thank everyone who's been involved in this. Obviously Mike Dilger and Yola Williams for being so sporting and not saying, why isn't it me? Nick Baker for not saying, why isn't it me? I don't think we'll ever be able to do this again. And also, obviously, to Penny, who has just done a brilliant job. stage, Tony. I won't make you stay. And also the backroom team, guys here, particularly Mark. Mark put all this together. We have had more emails going back and forward, and every single one you send, you look and check Tim isn't in the CC. We were terrified that we just pressed the wrong button and he'd know. So thank you to Mark. And the presentation will be the end of it, but obviously the one person we absolutely have to thank is conservationist, birder, bon viveur, drinker, traveller, and basically grandfather, father, father-in-law, an all-round really, really top bloke. Tim Appleton, tonight, and it's not red, there's a reason for that. Tonight, Tim Appleton, this is your love. I think